Maybe they even, I mean, sometimes parents do this. Maybe they even refuse those things so they wouldn't be dependent on you. They don't want to make you selfish. You know, I'm not going to pick up the 6-month-old crying baby. 6 months old. I mean, maybe you don't pick up your 16-year-old crying baby. 6 months old. Pick up the baby. We will never be pure of heart if we don't feel and know the love of others and the love of God. Feel it. We need to feel it. There's a lot of people today that are really languishing. They're really suffering because of an unsatisfied love hunger. They're love starved. And this, it's really, it has ever increasing symptoms. It leads to emotional immaturity. It stifles intimacy in relationships. It can lead to same-sex attractions. It can lead to abortion. It can destroy marriages. It certainly causes feelings of inferiority and inadequacy, feelings of not being accepted or understood. It can lead to shyness, guilt feelings, hypersensitivity, extreme need of approval by other people, and even indecisiveness. Anyone here have a problem making decisions? Like, I don't know what shoes I'm going to put on. Like, we don't have that problem. It's not complicated. It's not easy, but there's a simplicity to it. Like, love is the answer. And if it's not there, the effects can be devastating. You know, we think of, here we are, Corazón Puro, right? So we think of words like fidelity, purity, just virtue in general. All of that grows out of love. And again, not just a knowledge of it, but a feeling, an intuitive knowing. Again, more on that later. Feeling and knowing are related. I mean, when your heart and your mind are united on this, yeah, like, Jesus, I'm not only doing this because I have to, I'm doing it because I want to. Again, remember, we're back to the example of the Mexican martyrs. Like, bring it on, because I'm captured. I'm already captured. I'm already in the prison of his heart, right? I'm already, you know, I have one foot in heaven. I mean, I'm speaking about them. I'm still working on it, but when that feeling and that knowing comes together, and that spiritual love is energized by that emotional love, by all the emotions. I mean, man, this is power for living. This is what we're talking about. You know, seeking a pure heart, seeking chastity, it's not just a negation of something, but it's a negation of something so that we can choose something greater, so that we can open ourselves up to something greater. Today's the Feast of St. John of the Cross. That's what he was all about. Everyone gets scared of John of the Cross, including me. But like he said, yeah, right, totally. Like, I really don't want to read much from him. But his nada, like he said, nada, 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 was so that he could say, "Si, al Señor." But we'll never make it through the nada if we don't know who we are. If we don't have that feeling and intellectual knowledge of His love. If we're not able to be unique and alone and stand in that firmness and strength that God wants to give us, we won't pass from the glory to glory that He wants us to pass to. So we cannot possess the full truth of anything. Sex, love, ourselves, unless we know it on both the intellectual and emotional levels of our existence. Let me say that again. We cannot possess the full truth of anything. Full truth. Unless we know it on both the intellectual and emotional levels of our existence. So again, affirmation, it's a gift freely given with no strings attached. And you know, it's futile to beg for it, it's futile to demand it, to strive for it, to endeavor to buy it, to obtain it under false pretenses. And if we haven't received it as a child or not fully, we can only desire it, hope for it, be open to it, wait for someone to come along who discerns our goodness and worth and tenderly offers that to us. And it's the Lord, right? Ultimately, all the love flows from Him, but He wants to do it through other people. That's the natural order of things, right? You have these beautiful children, and love is awakened in them through their parents. Like our parents are the image of God, right? For at least the first 7 years. But I mean, why do we have to let them? Yeah. Do we realize they don't know everything? No, but, right? Like, that's just a natural order. Like, children are just, they're all heart. You know, and then they hit the age of reason and the intellect starts to move in and things start to integrate, but they're all heart. They're just receiving. That's the plan. Like, we receive from another person. That's what opens us up to God. Again, if that hasn't happened, we ask God to make it happen, both directly and indirectly for other people. This affirming process, this process of knowing and feeling, can be compared in a certain sense. This is kind of a helpful analogy to the effect that water has on an object immersed in it. So picture it like a fish. So the water surrounds it perfectly and adjusts itself faithfully to the contours of the fish without destroying it. It allows the fish, or coral, or a plant, or whatever, to grow and develop without hindrance by adjusting its own weight in relation to it. So the water is able to expand and contract. The water cushions it with mass and density against any blows or shocks, so that it might protect the object. Well, yeah, I mean, just, there's so many different examples, but there's just the protection that water allows. And finally, the water hides from view any defects that the object may possess. You know, when you're looking down through the water, like, you know, fish looks great. I went snorkeling this past summer down in Florida. And actually, it was cool to go there because it looked even more beautiful. But that's kind of an idea of how God wants us to be loved and how He wants us to love others. Brothers and sisters, God has created us good. Really good. And He loves each of us individually and uniquely. And He wants us to be our true selves, to become that true self and really to live out of that. That's what it means to be pure of heart. I am my true self. I live in the truth of who I am purely, without falsity or masks, because I'm loved. I'm loved by God, and I've experienced that love not only directly from Him, but through other people. So, we'll spend the rest of our weekend unpacking what this means. Let the adventure begin. Thank you.